said, these snark tuners, man, they eat up those batteries. You really have to remember to turn them off. So we're kind of doing things out of order. We did I think the C form, then the G form. Now we're going back and doing the A form. I'll probably do ED next, but so this is going to be the A form. I'm sorry I was running late today. I wanted to create some images for you. So, but this is the second form in the CAGED method, the A form. Move it up to the key of C, just a good key to play in. And here's the hey Lena. And here's the major pentatonic. You can start on there. Bruce is in the house. So how's everyone doing? Roger, how you doing? How's work? Busy? Are you retired? No, you're not retired yet, are you? No, you freelance. Joseph, how's it going, sir? Holly, are you getting rain too? We're getting rain down here. It's cold, muy frío. You know, Roger, I was thinking, you know, I wanted to market a product. I started doing some stuff with hammering. Kind of sounded like a hammer dulcimer kind of vibe. And this is a triangle mallet. And it has a rubber handle, it's stainless steel. And so I bought a triangle, like orchestral triangle, and took the mallet and used it. Okay. Do it on electric too, and then I'll flip it over and get kind of darker sound like. Thank you, Aslan. Sounds like you almost want to borrow money. But I really kind of like that sound. I use it every now and then for sessions or songwriting or whatever. But I wanted to try to market this at one point, and I talked to I had a friend that was out of work at the time. It was like this was like 2009, so everybody was a lot of people were out of work, and he found a place in China that would make this. It's funny because I sent one of these to a guy in Indiana, Illinois, and it was going to cost me like $11 each to make. And I was like, well, you know, that's not awful with the packaging and a DVD on how to use it. Maybe I could sell it for $35 or something like that. And then my friend got the one back from China. It was 11 cents, but it was totally different. It was like almost half the length. It was very thin. The handle was plastic instead of rubber. It wasn't anything like this. And I just happened to sit next to a patent attorney on a flight back from somewhere. And he said that it wasn't, you know, because it's kind of just a piece of metal with a rubber handle, not really patentable. But he said if you put your name on it or something, if you give it a product name, then you can at least, like, I don't know if you can say patent applied for, or if you can say copyrighted or something. But he said then you can do it. And of course, some people came out with it. They didn't come out with something like mine. They came out with something that looked more like a piano hammer. But I I talked to an engineer about it. That's what made me think of seeing Roger's name up there. So, Scott Appreciation is Bob Schumann, Dennis. Oh, we got all three moderators. That's pretty darn good. Jack Lloyd, good to see you, man. Good morning. Yeah, I do my live. Thank you, Bruce. I do my live stream. Try to every Monday at 9:08 or whenever I started. I was late because you'll see I created some diagrams and I just had to do them this morning. And I didn't set my alarm because I needed to sleep until I was slept out. So that's pretty much what I did. Oh, that's right. You did do. Roger, like once again, it's a cool little thing. And I do a little video, I like bouncing it. That's right, we did talk about this, Roger. Has it been that long? That seems like forever ago. I was just thinking about, like, a year ago, we went to see my daughter's graduation. It seems like 5 years ago. Like, the COVID thing has really slowed down my perception of time. And normally, as you get older, time seems to go faster. And the weeks seem to go by faster. But in retrospect, looking back, it doesn't seem like there's as many life markers in the last 18, 19, 20 months or whatever, family reunions, high school reunions, things like that, trips, big things you tend to do. So, yeah, you did send it to me. If you want, Roger, we could go into business together. You have a side thing. I just don't know. I mean, I looked at advertising. I actually was going to do some guerrilla advertising, like take out weird ads, like in Guitar Player and stuff, like so people have no idea what's coming. But that was like a long time ago. And my friend was really into it because he didn't have a job. He was like, hey, let's do this. And then he got a job and it was like all done. So, but I forget I was calling it a guitar hammer, which is really, everybody, could figure out I would not have this little ball at the end here, although that could be effective too if you want to try to use it to get one string. But I would have it completely straight across here. I think we talked about that. You're right. I wonder where I put that, Roger. It won't cost me anything. Yeah, it was weird because my friend Scott was telling me that, like, you can rent a pallet at, I think for $75 you get a pallet at Amazon. So you ship everything to them, and they will do all their shipping, and I think they charge like 75 cents per unit or something. So. Yeah, I don't know, Roger. We weren't. I was at the time that I was thinking about it. I would have been first to market, but since then, there's at least one product out, maybe two, and so I don't know if that advantage is gone. Yeah, email it to me now, but that advantage is gone. Special. Wait, there's more. It comes with the triangle too. I know, right? That's the manufacturing process. Just buy a ton of those things and throw away the triangles. But I don't really use it, and that's the other thing is I don't really. I even created some PDFs of like some songs or something. For the longest time, I didn't share it, and because I was thinking, I was going to market it, and I didn't do any videos on it, or really, I would just do it in the studio. And I don't know that it really ever got used on any records or anything that I could think of. I know I would pull it out and try it and maybe do a track or something, but I don't know if it ended up. Jay Baker took a patent class for work and learned most patent items were golf gear, fishing tackle, big guitar stuff was a close third. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff out there. But there's also a lot of like reissue type stuff, like pedals. They just, they're trying to replicate the clon or the fuzz or something like that too. Good morning, Tony. Oh, go back to school. I'll see you later. Thanks, Alan. God bless you too. So what we've been doing the last couple of weeks were hybrid scales. Where we learned like the major with the CAGED method. We learned the 5 shapes. Then we learned how they all kind of overlap with each other throughout the fretboard, and how they always appear in the order of the word CAGED, CAGED, which makes it easy to start to see and navigate and visualize your fretboard. So then we started with C, and we found the major pentatonic, the major diatonic. I wrote the minor chord there just so you could see that, but I didn't do that again. Then we did, the second one we did was the A form, because that's the second letter in the key, or word CAGED, and we did the major diatonic and the major pentatonic, okay? Because those notes are all contain the C triad, all right? And the same thing with this became, we took the G shape up 2 frets and got an A chord, okay? And that is, this is the G form, and then I wrote probably the most common major scale in that form, and a major pentatonic, and I also did another version. So these are all here. Oh, you know what, Holly? I haven't been uploading the stuff to Discord. Let me drag the last couple, because I don't think I put them in there. And you don't need to create any kind of PDF for this necessarily, Holly. You wait till we have all 5 of them if you want to do some kind of hybrid thing. So let me. This is a great reason, and I pinned the Discord address there. This is a great reason to join a Discord, because you can get all of these diagrams. And Holly, God bless her, she's been putting them in. Let's see. She's been putting like. Oh, here we go. So here's one here. Yes, that's this is last week's, and then here's the week before, I think, or maybe it's the other way around. And these are hybrid scales, and that's what I'll show you here in a second. Oops. So then we did, after the G shape, we did the E shape, and the 2 scales are wrapped around that. And again, these were major scales, major pentatonics and major diatonics. And then we did the last one, the D shape, and there's the D shape. Kind of, there's the way you can see it. And then that was talking about the 5 pentatonic scales all together. And then we did the hybrid thing, okay, where I merged the minor pentatonic with the major pentatonic. And I did it again. And then, so you can watch those videos if you want to do that. And then this is today. So today on NBC. So there's the major pentatonic, okay? Now the minor pentatonic sits on top of that chord shape. And again, you're like, well, some of you may be, why would I play a minor pentatonic over a major chord? Well, we'll just put it next to this one. How about that? That looks okay. It's somewhat aesthetically pleasing. That's how you get the blues sound, by superimposing a minor over a major. And when you're playing the blues, typically what's going on is you're playing over 7th chords. So C7 to F7 is the 4 chord, to C. And we did a whole thing on playing over the blues, and then back to the 4 chord. It's kind of a standard 12-bar blues progression that everybody tends to learn when they're young. And then it finally gets to the 5 chord, which in this case is G7. Back to the F7, which is the 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord, which is C. And then to G. night. Are you leaving already? So that's a typical blues progression in the key of C. And what's weird is that to get a blues sound over that C chord, which is technically a major chord, even though it has a seventh in it, but you could do a blues progression with all major triads, totally fine. Just not as, didn't make you get that stink face as much, you know. See, that's a little bit more stink facey. So you want the stink face. And then you superimpose that over that minor pentatonic there, over the, which really, if you remember, that minor pentatonic is the exact, there's only 5 shapes. The minor pentatonic is the same as the major pentatonic for the C form. Okay? So if technically what we're playing there when we're playing C minor pentatonic, and we'll go over it note for note, okay, is really the C form, E flat major pentatonic. Exactly same notes, all right? I tried last week to record. I started working on my modes video, and it would literally, I'm not sure how to do it. It's really, really hard to do a half-hour video. When you edit it, you know, it could start out with 2 hours of video, and it's just like, it's hard to do 2 hours of video because the battery, you have to put another battery in, you know, the light changes in the room. So, you know, it's not, I'm not using a professional studio. So by the end of the video, it's different than the beginning of the video. I'm tired. It may be 3 days later, maybe wearing a different shirt, maybe playing a different guitar, or maybe wearing different glasses. It's like continuity issues abound when I'm trying to do this video. So I could feasibly break it up into 4 videos. My only concern there is then that people won't watch all 4 videos, because I really feel like, and we talked about this, we did this. If you go back to my, you know, very early on our live stream thing and COVID live streams lessons, I did this. I did the lesson I want to do. I did it basically in a live stream thing, and it was a standard lesson I taught pretty much any of my students that wanted to get into, you know, soloing, which was pretty much everybody. I mean, I had a few students just wanted to learn songs, and that was it. And that's fine. But once they, you know, if they really wanted to kind of, we get too much. See, now the sun came out. It was raining earlier. Here we go. So that you know, it ended up being a lesson that I taught, you know, hundreds and hundreds of times. So I'm real familiar with it, but I've only taught it sitting next to a student and going, okay, now you do the next thing. You do okay, what's the next, you know, and I would really talk them through it and get them to understand it. And that's really difficult. That's the other problem, is I'm not, it's one thing to conceptualize a 7-minute video and kind of get it in your head and go, okay, I want to say these things and do it. But then a 30-minute video, boy, that's just tough. So I may end up breaking it down. I may end up breaking it down into 4 videos, all under the heading of I don't know, maybe I could do it in 2 videos. But then at that point, it's like, well, shoot, but if I say this, I want to go on to the next section. That was the beauty of it. So anyway, and I created new graphics for it. I don't know, maybe I should just leave it as the live stream, but people won't find it. That's the thing. Unless I download it and re-upload it. No, that would be way too much editing, wouldn't it? Okay, so the C minor pentatonic, again, just so you know, it's one of the 5 pentatonics, okay? And so we've got 2 different major pentatonics. We've got another way you can think of it, and I'm sure there's some people, there's a couple of you, John is one of them, I think, that likes to understand things almost from a mathematical. Roger, you're probably not too far from that. Yeah, I've got one of those rosin deep bows. In fact, I could probably, yeah, this thing. It's See, I've got elixir strings. This won't work on elixir strings. Yeah, and it gets rosin all over everything. It's pretty messy. Rosin. I have new respect for string players because they have to deal with rosin. What a pain. Yeah, potentially. Catherine said, have you thought about recording? I don't teach privately anymore, so I would have to pay an actor to pretend like they wanted to take a lesson or something. Or any of you probably would be happy to show up and be my student for that. And that would be one way to go, but that would be completely contrary to every other video I've ever done where I'm talking to the camera, so or directly to the audience. So I started recording the very first of the 4 sections, and I think I was at 20 minutes, and I'm like, no, I've got to be much more concise than this. And that's where I was getting in trouble. I have all the graphics. I mean, I can show you, because I printed these up, so I knew what graphic was going to be next to me. And it's funny, yeah. These are not quite the graphics I used because it doesn't say level 1, 2, 3, or whatever. But basically I just went through. We did these, so I showed them just using the white keys on the piano. I showed them all 7 modes. Okay, and that was the other thing with these videos. I didn't have a guitar in my hand, which was also made it more awkward. And then I thought, well, should I have a second camera on a piano keyboard, or should I only show the piano, or should I put the camera over here and then so I can show the keyboard and play notes? Because really, it's a huge value to hear the difference between a C major and D Dorian or C Dorian. You can really hear the difference. And that's the third lesson. The first lesson was doing that, and remember we did the formulas, whole, whole, half, and then whole, half, whole. Remember that? So then we had the formulas for every mode. So then we could make any key in any mode because we had the formulas. So we took those formulas and then we made parallel modes. So 7 different scales all starting on C using the formula. So you ended up with 7 different C scales. You had C major, and then C Dorian, and then we had C Phrygian, which is flat, flat second. I love Phrygian. And then Lydian with a raised 4, and then we analyzed those, and we went, okay, what did we change from the major to get these others? So you could think about them in several different ways, and I did the flats wrong. It's funny. See, I did flat 2 here, and then 2 flat there. It's funny. Anyway, these were just for me to see while I was filming the video, which I don't normally do because I don't want to be looking over at something. But I kind of had it right next to the camera so I could kind of look at the camera and still have it. Tricks of the trade. I need one of those teleprompters. So yeah, it's just that video may not get made, unfortunately, even though it's one of my best lessons I felt like I taught private students. Okay, that said, let's pick up our guitars if you haven't already, and let's look at this C minor pentatonic. We'll play the C major pentatonic first, and let's just be academic here. Let's play it with like the kind of lame fingering with the second, fourth like that. So we're just going to be academic here. We're going to 2, so 4. So we're going to be at the 3rd fret, 5th fret, again 3rd fret, 5th fret, and there's our C note, by the way. And then 4, 5, 4, 5. So we got, if we start on the 5th fret here, second finger, go 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5. There's 1 octave of a major pentatonic. And then if we continue, go 3, 5, 3, 5. Again, in the real world, when the rubber meets the road, as they say, sorry about my colloquialisms. I know that doesn't mean anything. When the rubber meets the road, that to a lot of cultures, it's like, what the heck is he saying? In other words, when you get going and you're using something, that's what rubber meets the road. It's like when it comes time to do the job, you're probably not going to play this part of the pentatonic scale with these 2 fingers. You're going to go more dominant first. can hear how happy that is. And there, you could totally kind of do I could play over the blues. And bluegrass was kind of a form of the blues, right? And we would use minor pentatonics. We would use the Mixolydian scales, which have the flat 7 to give you kind of that bluesy sound. And major pentatonics, of course, were... but if we did Mixolydian... you get that kind of bluesy sound in there, and I could even use the minor pentatonic. Or I could use the blues. Totally sounds really cool over the bluegrass thing. So again, creating that bluesy sound is all about playing minor on top of major. You're intentionally playing wrong notes to create a mood. Again, what does that tell you? That is another example of proving that music is manipulation. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. The whole reason you turn on the radio is because you want to feel better. Or you want to feel something, right? It's funny because I saw a study, they said that they're worried about kids that listen to like heavy metal, like really like grindcore, death metal, that kind of stuff. And they worry about them like being aggressive. And the study actually came out a study came out that actually showed those people that got their aggression out. It kind of dealt with some of that. But yeah, music is super powerful. Who was it that said, give me the musicians of the world or the country and I'll control the country or something like that? Which I saw happen last year when AB5 hit and basically put all us musicians completely out of work because we could nobody wanted to hire us as W-2 employees for one gig because they didn't want to pay $80,000 in workers' comp for a $200 gig, and which I totally understand. And so musicians started to speak out, including I think Jackson Browne and others. And then they did a carve out. I didn't want a carve out. I wanted everybody to get a carve out on AB5. But they gave musicians and actors and journalists. They said they could only They could only do 85 articles a year. Some journalists do 5 articles a day. So to limit them to only 80 articles a year it was kind of ridiculous. But I forget the number. It was 85 or 80. It was some arbitrary number derived by some policy wonk who had never been a journalist in their life. But photojournalists, photographers, they couldn't work anymore. Even like sheep shearers. Every gig they do, just going from farm to farm to farm, is for a different client. It's called freelance. It's what we do. But they carved out doctors, lawyers, and real estate agents. Because why? Oh, because they have lobbies in Sacramento. So, big lobbies. They spend a lot of money in Sacramento. Well, guitar players don't spend any money in Sacramento. Guitar players really don't have any money. But, yes, Dennis. Yeah, I've heard that about video games too. Yeah, definitely gets it out. You may actually ultimately be more passive after playing an aggressive first shooter game, which seems ironic. You think you're training yourself, but it also may be a part of you that just needs to kind of blow off steam. So, hey, Jaycom. Getting off subject here, apologize. But anyway, so that major pentatonic sounds great, over the major chord, but the minor pentatonic, music is power, creates some tension. Okay, so let's do this one. All right, so now we're going to be at the what I call third position, or what everybody calls third position. So our first finger's assigned the 3rd fret. All right. In classical guitar music, you'll actually see it'll say 3 POS, meaning position, or 3rd POS, not piece of. Don't go there. Be nice. But it'll mean 3rd position, and so that means you're supposed to anchor your hand. Usually, it means you're supposed to bar. If it says 3rd position bar, it means bar all of the frets at the 3rd position, because you must be doing something like that. A lot of times you do partial bars in classical guitar music. Very, very common. I touched my face. Let's take a drink. All right. Now, let me tune up again. That sounded weird to me. Yep. It literally jumped flat under my finger. That was weird. So we're going to be first finger at the 3rd fret, bottom string, and then pinky at the 6th fret. So 3, 6, and again 3, 6. I'm doing the blue notes this time, okay? Which I did blue because I thought, hey, it's blues, kind of. And then 3, 5, 3, 5. Okay, let's do it again. 3, 6, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 6, 3, 6. Okay, now kind of visualize this C chord there, and you can see where we go all akimbo. I don't think that's the right use of the word. Maybe it is, but basically that note there is outside of this chord, and this note's outside of there too. Okay, I'm gonna maybe create a pad or something so over a C chord or a C7 chord so we can hear how these sound. But there's our C root. I didn't write the roots in here, but here's one root, here's the other root. So the 3rd fret of the 5th string is C, and the 5th fret of the 3rd string is C. How about that? Okay, so let's do it again. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and then we'll go both directions. But here, so 3, 6. Why do I want to say 7? 3, 6. 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 4, 6, and I'm talking fret numbers here, not finger numbers. You don't have a 6th finger. 3, 6, and then backwards 6, 3, 6, 4. Sorry, my brain is just not working today. 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 6, 3. Okay. I may go ahead and post a video I did quite a while ago about playing on Apex, and it's a long video. It's like 30 minutes long, but I do all the guitars for Apex Legends, so everybody take a sip. That's one of our drinking game rules. If I mention that I played all the guitars on Apex, then we have to take a sip. But only if I mention that I played all the guitars on Apex. And then like 12 or 13 other rules. Okay. So what I'm going to do is what we did before is I'm going to combine these two scales and we're going to get a hybrid. But let me before I do that, let me go ahead and just do a C pad or something, or a C7 pad maybe. What do you think? Do I have the pad already loaded? There's a pad. That would be that's a major chord. I can add a 7th to that. It's funny, I did 5 bars. I wouldn't even paint. Oh, no, I didn't. It just snuck into the 5th bar. Doesn't really matter how many bars since it's a pad. Quantize it. I don't know if you can hear this. If I put a 7th in this, it's a little bit of it. Kind of a weird pad, huh? Oh. Okay. So that's just like a C7. Just a C7 pad, okay? So you play a C chord, add your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and you get that B flat, which creates that 7th sound. Very common chord in blues, okay? But I can use the major pentatonic on it. Kind of happy, you know, happy and right. But if I play the C minor pentatonic over it, I get a different sound. It goes a totally different direction. Darker, more brooding, bluesy. Now this is not technically a blues scale. A blues scale would include a flat 5, okay? So you know this, we've talked about it, but it's like, oh, you know, sometimes reiterating something, you really understand it that time. But anyway, so the 5 can always be found by creating a little power chord. Here's our C, here's the 5, right? If you go flat, like you're going to play Batman, that's the flat 5. So if I play this pentatonic, but add that flat 5, that's the blues scale. And I don't need to use it only as a passing tone. That flat 5 doesn't need to go to the 5. It doesn't need to go to the 4. It can be its own thing. Yeah, I like going flat 5, 4, 3, 1. That's a song. What is that? Like KC and the Sunshine Band or something like that. Some disco era thing. But anyway, so the minor pentatonic has this sound. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm afraid to go too loud on one and not the other. Notice how I kind of move my hand up to kind of get the meat of my... There's that flat 5. Hold on a second. You have no sense of tempo here. Major happy again. Now it'll sound kind of funny because I did the blues. The major won't sound as good. Sorry, I'm trying to get my windows nowhere. I'm just spacing here. There we go. So I'm doing the major pentatonic. And I'm just doing it in this position. I can do it all up and down the neck. That's the beauty of the CAGED method. Hold on. That's the beauty of the CAGED method. Drums are probably too loud, aren't they? Beauty of the CAGED method and knowing the 5 shapes. I could go up and down the neck, but the whole point of this is to show you the shapes at this position. Okay, over this form. Okay, we're talking the A form that we moved up to. We're in the key of C. Yeah, and I pinned the Discord link up there. Okay, so you can join the Discord for free. Doesn't cost anything. And all my diagrams through all these lessons, and I have a lot of lessons. Although I didn't used to save when I didn't start with OBS, the software that I'm using now, I can drop all these diagrams in. Okay, so now I'm going to create a hybrid where I used both of those scales. Where are you? Here it is. Boom. all right? Because you can use both of those scales when you're soloing. You can create a new scale. Don't really have a name for this. C minor major pentatonic hybrid. Because it's not a pentatonic scale because there's 6 notes, or we actually have 8 notes in it. So if we were to look at, and I didn't do this. I can do this. Let's see. I need to create a new text thing. But if we were to look at it's going to be really big at first. But C major pent is C, D, E, G, A. C minor pent, minor pent is C, E flat, F, G, and B flat. All right. So these are 5-note scales. And then the hybrid, C major minor hybrid, is, sorry, you'll be able to see this better in a second. I know it looks like, what the heck is Tom doing? E flat, E, F. So we have this 4-note chromatic thing, and then we have G, A, B flat. So it actually ends up being a let's see. It actually ends up being an 8-note scale. All right. So basically what I did here is there's the C major pentatonic. Those are the notes in the C major pentatonic, C, D, E, G, A. Don't really need to know that. Not going to be a quiz. Everybody take a sip. There will not be a quiz on this. Okay. You can buy those mugs on my YouTube channel. You can buy shirts that say that. And then the C minor pentatonic was C, E flat, F, G, and B flat. And then if we combine them all into one, that top scale there, you can see the black dots are the major and the blue circles are the minor pentatonic notes. So you can see we have some commonality. Both scales have C's and both scales have G's. And that's it. So there's 3 notes in the major pentatonic that the minor doesn't have, and 3 notes in the minor pentatonic that the major doesn't have. So you add the 2 common tones, the 3 that's not in the major, and the 3 that's not in the minor, and you end up with 8 tones. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes some sense. Looper pedals. Okay. Dennis, you had... Oh, so you can do the jam thing I was just doing. Or you just go to GarageBand. If you want to create, GarageBand's free on Mac. It comes with Macs. It even comes on your iPhone. You can create loops there, drums, bass, guitars, keyboards, all that stuff, and then jam over those. If I had those when I was a kid, it would have been a game changer. I might have become a professional guitar player. All right. Is Catherine still there? Hey, Catherine, you still there? She watches me on a giant TV, so I'm just trying to kind of freak her out right now. I hope none of you are using like 3D goggles. I need another camera for that. That would be hilarious. You know, I'm blind in one eye, so I can only see in 2 dimensions. Doesn't PC have a similar thing? I'm sure there's a million software programs for free for PC. I mean, if you need a looper for gigging, yeah, then you're going to want a pedal. But if you want a looper just so you can jam along with yourself in the house, you know, I think you could probably do that with any computer would provide that tool. Said the tool. So, can I make this bold? How do I edit it? See, this is... Oh, I know how I edit it. I click. Here we go. Select font. Bold. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. I don't know if that makes it any easier to see. I don't know if that makes it any easier to see, but okay. So that's just so you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. Okay, so now the scale that we have, if we start on the bottom string, this hybrid scale, and again, I don't necessarily think you need to learn. In fact, I'm missing a note here. Am I? No, I guess I'm not. No, I got it. No, I got it all. I thought I was missing a note for some. I don't think ever, I think major pentatonic. Okay. I think minor pentatonic. But I don't think, I think I'll do the major minor pentatonic hybrid chord scale. I don't. Okay. What happens is you're playing in minor pentatonic. For example, let's say if I go, do that lick with me. So I'm starting on the 5th fret of the 4th string. So we're over a C7 chord, for example. And I'm going to play the kind of a little middle chunk of C minor pentatonic. Go to B flat there, 3rd fret of the 3rd string. 5th fret of the 3rd string. And then, 4th fret of the 2nd string. Okay, that lick, pretty common lick. Kind of a, you can hit that bottom note twice. Okay, and that's pure C minor pentatonic. However, I might go, which sounds really cool over the C7, to go from that flat 3 to the 3. Well, the 3 is not in the minor pentatonic, but it's in the major pentatonic. So it's not a situation where I'm going, because a lot of times people go, well, how do you think? What are you thinking when you solo or whatever? And the goal is, in fact, it's funny because Steve Lukather told me this. Steve Lukather's a guitar player for Toto, and I met him at the NAMM show one year, and I said, dude, I don't know him or anything. Like, I met him, I think that's the only time I ever met him. And I said, dude, you're a big reason why I moved to LA back in the 80s, like 10 million other guitar players, to be you. And he goes, well, I'll tell you the thing that Larry Carlton told me when I got started in session work. He said, don't think, play. And it's funny because it's funny that Larry Carlton is the one that told him that, because of all the guitar players, all the session guitar players, when I listen to a Larry Carlton solo, it sounds like he's thinking because everything's so perfect. Like, I mean, one of the most perfect guitar solos ever played is the guitar solo to Kid Charlemagne, which is Larry Carlton, which was a session guitar player. He wasn't a band member. It was just another session for Larry. But I'm not thinking, I'll do the hybrid scale. No, I'm going, I'll hit that flat 3 and I'll resolve it up. Or it's just a lick it's a lick you do a lot anyway, going flat 3 to, you might, that's going flat 3 to 3. Whatever, whenever you hear that kind of thing. Anytime you hear that kind of thing, that's a flat 3 to a 3. Or you hear, that's a flat 3 to the 3. So it's that you can stay there and back to there. In fact, not to get too into it, but we did this before. You remember when we did this? We changed the shape over the E7 to the A7 to the B7. We did the 3, we did over the B, we did that, over the A7, we did that, over the E, we did that. And that's kind of the same thing. We're just making slight nuance, maybe one note change to accommodate a chord change. Part of it because it sounds better, and part of it's because it tells your audience you knew the chord change. Oh, I know it went to the 4 chord. Because that's why I'm playing the A note. So the other thing that's kind of nice about this hybrid is it does have more accommodations for other chords. So if you're on C and it changes to a chord, you've got more options too. So, okay. So that would be one lick, or maybe we might do. Again, it's not a situation where I'm consciously going, I'm gonna hybrid these scales. So play this like with me. We're again C minor pentatonic, 6th fret, pinky, 3rd fret with the 1st finger, pinky on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and then 2nd finger on the 4th fret, and then hammer on the 5th. And now we're playing the E natural over the C chord. Oh, you have 8 or 9 hours? Okay, so you got time to practice. Real. Knees hurt, has 8 to 9 hours until he has to go to work. So I'm at work. This is work for me. I have iReal Pro on my iPad. I have not been using it lately. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, Werner, hey. Oh, yeah, iReal Pro. Okay. I have not heard of that. But, yeah, that's so, and you could just set up a jam, In fact, one thing you could do with this is maybe do a 1/4 progression. That's always a good, simple progression to play over. Like 1/4, that would be like. So, if I were to do it. Let me go here. Get rid of the pad and go to just piano. There's a lot of reverb. Oh, we'll get rid of the reverb. So, yes. My hands are in the wrong position. One more time. There we go. I'm not a piano player, obviously, clearly. 4. I missed the bass note. I'll add it. Okay. So now that's a 4/5. Let me grab. Okay. I'm sorry, that's a 1/4. So that's just C7 to F7. It's like the beginning of a blues song. And the C major, the C major pentatonic won't quite work with it. The C minor pentatonic works better. But there's that A note that is in the C major pentatonic. Sorry, turn the music down. That is in that hybrid scale and also in the C major pentatonic. So those are times where you might make that shift where you go, I'm just going up to the C note. That D note sounds nice there. There's the E natural from the C major. I like chromatics a lot. I like playing chromatic phrases, lines. So that's just, you set up a fairly simple jam between two chords. I could also do what might also work nice is G minor 7 to C7, and so that's ends up becoming kind of a Dorian jam. If I were to go from, it's going to sound like a kind of a minor vamp. Okay, so when you go from C7 to F7, it sounds like, oh, you're playing kind of a blues thing. The beginning of the blues, the first 2 bars of a blues progression. If I change this so that instead of playing C7 to F7, I'm going to change it so it's, and I'm just going to change it in the MIDI here. So I'm just going to take this C and I'm going to go down, go to G, and then make that. There's the I want to make it minor, and then I'll just take this down. So that's G minor 7 to C7. Very common kind of jazz. There's a lot of, I think this Masquerade by George Benson actually goes F minor to B flat or something like that at one point. That's what George Benson solos over, is the more simple. So technically what this is, you could call this is a 2-5 progression. The 1 chord would be F, but we're never going to it. So play G minor, 7, yeah. And if you can't play all of that, just play the top 3 strings, bar, 3rd fret, like that. And we're going to add our 3rd finger here to get the C7. Okay. I'm really playing more of like a deep G Dorian over this, but oops. Oh, you know what? Let me add this new scale hybrid thing over here to Discord. Okay, so the last 3 of these are there, Holly. But I can, so over the C, I can do that E flat. It kind of works over the G. C7, G minor to C major. You can take it as simple as that. Yeah, it's a little bit weirder. It's not as bluesy of a sounding chord progression as the. Oh gosh, I just get my windows all confused. Okay, it's not as bluesy sounding as the C to the. I dropped my pick. Everybody, take a sip. It's one of our drinking game rules. If I drop my pick, we all get to take a sip. Now, Dennis, what are you drinking? You got wine or beer, or you got just water, coffee? Dennis is in Holland, the Netherlands, as I should say. Holland is so much easier to say than the Netherlands, and it's not the Netherlands; it's the Netherlands, right? Like they say the TH like a D, Netherlands. But great gig in the sky. Oh yeah. That uses that progression, doesn't it? Um, so yeah, so the hybrid scale isn't necessarily, like I said, I'm not trying to get you to learn a new scale. You already know these two scales. You already knew them. All I'm saying is notice how when you can go back and forth between them. All right, you could go C major pentatonic, C minor pentatonic, blah blah blah. Okay, or you go, oh well, there's sometimes where I could use in the same phrase or the same lick, I could use notes from both scales. That would be what I would call hybrid. I wouldn't a hybrid lick, but I wouldn't say you have to learn a new scale. That's ridiculous because you already know these scales. Don't have to. I don't want you to overwork on this stuff. Beer in Switzerland. All right. Cheers, Werner. Yeah, winter's upon us too, huh? Is it getting cold there? Oh, oh, thank you, Sam. You got a message for about loopers. Um, yeah, when I was a kid, I would take a cassette deck and I would record myself playing chord progressions, and then I would hit play and jam over it. The problem with that was that I was never very patient. So when I was recording the jam, I would maybe play for 2 or 3 minutes. And the problem with that is I would have to stop after 2 or 3 minutes. Whenever the jam ended, I'd have to stop and hit rewind and rewind back to the beginning tape. And that may take, 20 seconds, and then I hit play again. But really, when you're jamming, when you're practicing, when you're playing over that, when you're trying to learn these new scales, you probably aren't going to do anything new in the first 2 or 3 minutes. So you really do need a longer jam time. That's why I make those bluegrass jams all 10 minutes. And I uploaded one last week. I was online Thursday, and I told everybody, I said, I uploaded a new one on Thursday. Or Thursday, was it? Or Wednesday or something? But I got 3 copyright infractions for a song that I'd recorded that day. Literally, and it's just... It said that I stole the melody. The melody was the same as 3 other songs. So I contested all 3 of them. And I've never lost any of these. Basically, I've never won any of them either. They just tend to time out. After 29 days, I think it is, or 30 days, they time out. And I wish YouTube would just kind of notice that this keeps happening, and they just would go, oh, we're fine with Tom. We know Tom's not ripping anybody off. Because I make a very big point about not playing other people's music on my YouTube channel. And so I am going to probably, I have a video that I did, oops, what am I doing? That I haven't posted. I did it, let me see, when did I do that? And it's about a 30-minute video. It's about playing on Apex. And I sent it to them, and they said, oh, it's great, and we love it. And I said, tell me when you want to, me to post it, and they never said anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and post it. How far back does it go? It goes back pretty far. Okay. Maybe not as far as I thought. It's before the major scales. Oh, here it is. Guitars of Apex Legend. May 15th. So quite a while ago. So apparently a couple people viewed it. I need to do, it's 32 minutes long. I need to do I did a lot of graphics for it, but I need to do a car, a nameplate or whatever that's called. I forget what it's called. Hot coffee, yes. Hot coffee's a must. Oh, Catherine is still there. I must have missed her reply to my little brotherhood, little brotherness. So, but yeah, so one of my big things though is that I don't want you to have to learn too much, especially if you're an older player or you're a beginner and you're overwhelmed by all this, because music and this is probably true of any profession, but music is, I always feel like it's like this, you're working on something, you're heading, and then all of a sudden you turn a corner, and you know, they say, oh, I turned a corner, and then the problem is then you have a whole new horizon. Like you got all, it's like, oh, I turned a corner and saw that I got all this to learn now. So now you learn all that, and then you turn another corner, and you're like, oh no, you know. And so part of my goal is to really let you know that, for one thing, like the most famous guitar players really kind of have a very limited understanding of the guitar and a limited understanding of music, but they just milk it. And that's their identity, that's their sound. I mean, I think B.B. King, you know, you could literally map out every note he's ever played and going, oh, well, he's basically playing kind of the happy pentatonic scale, you know, the happy minor pentatonic scale, or he's playing blues scale on everything. So it's like, oh, he knows a blues scale, he can get all the way through an entire show because he knows the blues scale. It's not like someone, you know, some crazy Guthrie Govan who goes through jazz and bebop, and he does country stuff, and he does heavy metal stuff, and you got all these different genres and all these different scales and all these different styles and approaches and different guitars and all that to get his to do a show. So you know, but the famous players like Guthrie Govan's not very famous, but B.B. King, or even the Edge, you know, he's got his. I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony at all because I'm a huge Edge fan. But his thing is that he creates a really cool sonic landscape for every song that he works on with, you know, the band, and sometimes he creates something and then Bono writes to it. Sometimes Bono writes something and Edge creates a part for it. But the Edge is about creating perfect parts. If you were to drop him into a bebop session, he wouldn't know where to begin, I don't think, or a bluegrass thing, or you know, he would admittedly probably say, yeah, that's not my thing. I play in my band. You know, that's his sphere of influence. You put him in another band, he'd be lost. But he's freaking brilliant. He's famous and he's wealthy. Not that that's the end goal at all. But so there's so many. Bruce. Wow. Oh, because Bruce, you're in like Florida, so yeah, it's not, yeah, it's nice and cold. I think our high today is going to be 65 or 64, which is great. Love it. So you know, knowing a little bit, you can go a long way knowing a little bit. And I showed you these. Let's see. See, there's all 5 pentatonics lined up there, and I put the red dots. I did it back. Well, the red dots are the major roots, and the blue dots are the minor. No, yeah, the minor roots. So in this case, where everything lines up, all those blue notes are A's, and all the red notes are C's. And if you look at that, you can start to see. Oh, you can see the major triads. Like if you look at bar 3, you can see that C form or the A form right there. You can kind of, if you look at bar 7, 8, something like that, you can, or not bar, fret, 7th or 8th fret, you can kind of see the beginning of that G shape. You can see the E shape at the 9th fret. You can see the D shape at the 12th fret. So that looks complex, but it's really just 5 shapes. And the great thing about them is they're all movable. So that's 5 shapes times 12 positions on the fretboard. That's 60 things you know right off the bat by learning 5 shapes. But here, let's see, here we're just talking about 2 of those shapes. And we're superimposing the C major over the A. John's not here, but John would always be like, well, now is that also like superimposing the C major with the E flat major? Yes. C major pentatonic is in the black, and the blue would be the E flat major pentatonic, same as the C minor pentatonic, same notes. So you're just superimposing 2 things, and you get that hybrid scale. But again, like I said, I didn't memorize the hybrid scale. I memorized these two down below, but the hybrid scale I didn't memorize. I just stumble on it as I merge back and forth between those two progressions. Now, one of my favorite examples. Let's see. I'm going to move this up here. Let's see if I can. Let's see. No. What is? Okay, so try to nail this. A little late. Okay, so let me. Okay, cool. Okay, so what this is the chord progression for Breason by George Benson. Sorry. D major 7, E minor 7, E minor 7, and kind of a G over A. It sounds real pretty to play the key of D major, and I'm playing D major diatonic, so I'm playing a 7-note scale. But then Benson would go into the minors of D minor. And it shouldn't work, and it so freaking does. So it's not like he created a hybrid scale between D blues and D major. If I did that, it might actually end up being 10 notes. So it's like, what's the point? Just play a chromatic scale at that point. No, that's not what we're learning. I'm going back and forth. But you go back and forth, and you can do one or the other. Major, minor, and then you could do a minor. You can play minor. But he probably wouldn't sit on either one of those very long without doing something that combines the two together. So you can come up with, all your major D major licks would work in this progression. A lot of your D blues licks would work in this progression. But let's create some new licks that use both of them. So, he would do like. And that's a case where I'm going, I'm doing the D major, but then I'm going to flat 3, which is the part of the blues. And then sliding up to the major. So you can do that 10, 12, 10, 13 slide up on the top 2 strings. Doesn't have to be fast. You can even go back to D. Okay? Or you can go to the 12th. That's all major. And that blues makes that stink face thing. All pretty, all happy. Make that stink face. And I'm not even thinking about what chord I'm playing over, because this chord progression is so D major centric, or B minor centric, if you want to think. I used to try to think over every chord on this, but exercises. It's better just to kind of come up with some cool melodies. That C natural should not work. There's a C sharp here. There's a C sharp, well, not really an A, but it implies a C sharp in the fourth chord. But don't worry about being late, Jeff. We just learn that lick right there. I just showed him every note again. You can even just take D major pentatonic or B minor pentatonic and go up 3 frets. Jerry, I'm here every Monday at 9 a.m. I try to be. I'm a little late today. It's like 9:08 today or 9:07. See if you can tell when I go back and forth between major and minor. So between playing D, kind of a D major, really in the pocket kind of thing, to the D minor, D blues out of pocket, okay? So I'm going to play, and you just try to hear when I go back and forth. When you're soloing, when you're improvising, one of the things too is if you find something that works, then keep working it. You know, like I was, that it was like I created a little theme, like a little hip hop, or not hip hop, more R&B kind of vibe. Mess with it a little bit and change it, and that's your solo. It doesn't have to be this, I have to compose a perfect solo with blah blah blah, and this goes and accommodates this scale and blah, No, it's just it's theme and variations. It's Beethoven. Just do Beethoven. It's simple. Look at all this crap all around me. It's closing in. Pretty soon it'll be like I won't be able. It's like got all this crap and like So anyway, I was unfortunately I don't have a giant undo on OBS, so now I have to put everything back where it was because I'm an idiot. All right, is this helpful? Is this making any sense to you guys? Trying to give you all the secrets I can think of. There we go. Probably make all those smaller. Kind of depends on how big your screen is. Some of you are watching me on a phone, so these dots look like sand pebbles. You're not even listening to me. You're talking about snowblowers. Oh, and I totally sheared off my thumbnail. I was watering the garden, and the handle was wet, and I flipped my handle to flip the handle to switch to turn on the water, and my thumb slipped, and it just bent my nail back. And immediately, I didn't even have to look at it. I knew it was, which is a drag because if I was going to do some, well, hopefully I don't. I've got a session in a little bit here. I gotta head out in a second, but the hopefully I don't have to do some classical guitar stuff. So. I don't think this client never really requests classical guitar. Boy, is my keyboard. I can tell I don't play on the top octave very often. It's all dusty. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't even know how these notes even work. How do they even work? They've got to be filled with dust. And actually, this M Audio keyboard was cheap, but I kind of have expected notes to stop working over time, but I'm not really pounding on it. I'm not much of a piano player. I'm usually just adding stuff to songs that I'm working on. A lot of times I'm programming drums on with keyboard or something like that. But oh, good, Holly, good. And we have two more of these to do, and then we'll have all of the we'll have 5 pentatonics. We'll have the 5 major, the 5 minors, and then the 5 hybrids. But again, the 5 majors and the minors are the same scales. They're just moved in different places. So don't and always remember that if you've got a major pentatonic and you're playing over kind of a major progression like that total George Benson Breason progression, it's a common jazz progression, a 1-6-2-5. Okay, or a 2-5. A 2-5-1 is a very common progression. So a lot of times you would, you say play a 2-5-1 progression. That's a 2-5-1. Here's the 1, D major 7, E minor 7 is the 2, and the A7 is the 5. And the way they come up with those numbers, by the way, is just counting up the scale. Do, re, mi, right? There's a D major scale. The chord built on the first note is D major 7. The chord built on the second note is E minor 7. And if I count up D, E, F sharp, G, A, the 5th note is A7. So that's when you say 2-5-1 progression, that's what you're referring to. That's what someone's referring to. So. But what oftentimes, instead of sitting on the 1 chord for 2 bars, which gets a little boring, you could substitute the B minor, which is the 7 or the minor, the 6th chord, which is a common substitute for the major chord. Okay, and what that does is it makes it so that you can break it up, so you're doing a bar of each of the chords. It's less boring that way. Otherwise, it would just be, and that may be what you want for the song that you're playing. But then sometimes you can bring in that B minor, and it just kind of breaks it up a little bit more. But you don't need to make any musical accommodations for it, because the notes in a D major has 2 notes in common with the B minor. So, and if we go to B minor 7, the entire D triad is in a B minor 7 chord. So you can really see. You could also call B minor 7 D over B. So you could go, I'm going to play D major 7, then I'm going to play D over B. You mean B minor 7? Yeah. So it's a common substitution. Now, so once you find like the major, you can just, if you find the major, you can just go up 3 frets and play the minor, and you get this. Oh, thanks. I'll check it. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Roger. So you can just oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, Roger's so good. Yeah, it's a simple thing, but it's. Oh wait, stand page. Let me go back. I just want to make sure. Oh. All right. Oh, sorry. All right. So, like I said, next Monday, Lord willing, I will do. Let's see. What did I do? I've done the C, A, G. So we're gonna do the E next. Okay. So we'll do the E shape next. We'll come up with the major over at the minor, and then we'll create the hybrid, and we'll be all happy. It took me a while to create this because I was conceptualizing, and then my Pages, which is the software I was using to do it, was just like not agreeing. It just kept moving things when I didn't tell it to move stuff. I'm like, dang, what's wrong? So I had to delete everything, start over again. So, all right. So what was our peak there? I wonder. We almost hit 40. What we did. Holly? Did you say 38 at one point? Yeah, I see 38. That's not bad. 32 right now. 35 likes. 32 current viewers. I could take a couple questions before I head out. If you got any questions, I haven't seen any stop signs, so I don't think there's any. Oh, the snowblower. You gotta start it once in the summer. You can use a snowblower to blow leaves, right? It's like a multi-purpose tool. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything in the summer that you would. Man, we had, my mom, the house I lived at in Indiana, that was my mom's house. We had 300 trees on the property. So it was funny because it was my job to cut the grass. But in the fall, if there was grass needed to be cut, I was just basically creating leaf mulch because I was too lazy to rake up all the leaves on the grass, then cut the grass. I was just like, screw it. I'm just gonna do the mower over all these leaves and just create leaf mulch. But my mom just kept once I moved to California and she had to cut the grass or she had to pay someone to do it, she just kept letting the ground cover get further and further, and she'd had these railroad ties, and she'd just move them further out, so that eventually the whole yard became ground cover instead of having to deal with raking leaves and having to cut grass. Yeah, we try to get to 40. Yeah, give me a like. Like the likes. 37 likes. Okay, we're close, Holly. Yeah, it'll get likes after I log out. People will watch this later. And Holly, have you ever performed out live anywhere? You did. I think you sing, right? Didn't you post a song that you sang? Oh, okay. Leaf blower to clean up a light snowfall, but not the other one. So it just blows. It doesn't grab and throw. So like a snowblower grabs and throws. Yeah, 12 white oaks will create a lot of leaves. Actually, worse than like trees or worse than like leaves. On one of when we lived in Pennsylvania, we had a giant weeping willow. My mom hated that thing. Oh man, because the branches would fall off, and the leaves would fall off, but they come out in these long branches, so you have to rake them up, and they're big and heavy. The crazy thing is, I don't know if anyone else has this, but back when I was growing up, this would have been like in Wallingford, Pennsylvania. We lived right on Providence Road, which is a very old road. I think probably leading out of Philadelphia or into Philadelphia or whatever. But we would just put our leaves on blankets and then take them to the roadside, and these trucks would come along and vacuum them up. So we just had to take our leaves out because I guess they didn't want us burning leaves or something. So we would take our leaves out to the street and then just make piles out there, and then they would come by and suck them up. Yes, Dan. Yeah. So whatever scale, yeah. If you do a minor, a major, there's a minor that you can play. You can play the C major and C minor pentatonics on top of each other to create these hybrid scales. You can think of it that way. Or the other thing you can do too is if you want to go, you can just take that C major scale and go up 3 frets. And so like that C major pentatonic right there, that is basically at the 2nd fret, kind of 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, that bottom left-hand corner. That one, if you move it up 3 frets, so that bottom, instead of being at the 2nd fret, you're at the 5th fret. If you move it up, then that would be a minor sound over a major. Now, you can't do the opposite. Like, for example, if you are playing over a minor progression, you wouldn't want to superimpose a major scale over that. It won't work. It doesn't go the other way. Take care, Jack. I can't believe for so many of you, this is must-see TV. Like you're here every Monday. That's funny. I mean, I guess, see, I'm pretty consistent, which helps. And when I was doing it every day, gosh, we were, we really grew the channel, didn't we, Bruce, when I was doing it every day? Heck, if I really wanted to try to hit 100,000 before the end of the year, I'd go back every day, but I wouldn't know what to talk about. I'm exhausted. At the end. So that was part of the problem. I was getting so tired that when I was at the end there, when I did 62 days in a row every day. So, but that was when I was afraid I wasn't going to have any work and I was going to starve. And I just bought a house and we were going to be homeless. But okay, do we have 40 yet? 38. Come on, where are those likes? Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, scales for exercises are great. Wait. Oh, you're in a cover band. Okay, sing and play guitar and do percussion. Oh, noises. That's awesome. Holly, that is like the coolest thing. You're in a cover band and a trio. So you're in 2 bands. All right, I'm impressed. That's really cool. And not because you're a girl. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. Because I played in a lot of bands with a lot of girls. My wife was in we had a band together. No, mainly that of all the people here on this live stream, you're probably one of the few that actually gets out in front of public. I know Gary does solo stuff. And doing solo stuff that's a whole different thing than doing group stuff. I don't know which is harder. It's harder in some ways to get a group together. That's hard. Solo stuff, that's easy. It's just you. When I was a kid, I couldn't get into a band in junior high. It was just like really hard. I had a band for a minute, but then the drummer moved out of state. And so I decided I was going to start learning jazz solo arrangements. And let's see. What's it? No, is it? I can't remember now. Dang it. But then I didn't need a band. I could be my own one man. I didn't really sing back then, so I wasn't going to sing. I was just going to play jazz standards. But then I got in a band, and then I kind of let that stuff slide. DLG, what's going on? So I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Holly. Yeah, Bruce, and you were there from the beginning. But I had a teaching agenda, and we kept that going, Gus. And we went to 3 a week, and then we changed times, and then we went to 1 a week. Is that what? Yeah. It was getting to be tough. When we were doing 3 weeks, I think is when we did the bluegrass thing. So I was having to create content, things that I could give you guys to work on. Yeah, that's the thing about the difference between playing in a band and playing a solo gig. Solo gig, it's all on you. So all eyes are in you. You tend to be a lot more nervous in those scenarios until you're not. That's the thing. Once you, I don't know, Gary's not here today, but if Gary, Gary might say, he's not nervous when he's playing songs he knows, but when he's playing a new song, maybe for the first time, he might be nervous. I know that's oftentimes that would be the case. But anytime I had to play solo guitar for weddings and things like that, I wasn't nervous playing the underscore for like when people were being seated, but when it was the wedding thing, when they were coming down the aisle and I was playing a specific piece that everybody probably knew. Then, in fact, the last wedding I played at, I played at for a friend, and and he had me accompany a choir. So I did some underscore while people were being seated, and then he had a choir there because he's a vocal contractor, and he had a choir, and I had to learn a couple pieces, and we rehearsed. But I was pretty nervous, but it went really well because I really tried to prepare for it because there were some movers and shakers. I didn't realize David Foster was in the audience. If I'd known David Foster was in the wedding or was there at the wedding, I would have been probably a lot more nervous than I was. And then ended up meeting David Foster. We ended up having a great conversation. I talked about that before, but yeah, so I was pretty nervous. That was, but like playing at church, doing sessions, writing sessions, those are, there's nothing to be nervous about there. Hey, Bob. Well, hey, Rhode Island. My sister teaches at Rhode Island School of Design. Let's see. Sharif. This is my first time seeing this. Oh, this is cool. I have 12 months experience acoustic guitar. Yeah, you need to understand chord theory and the fretboard. 100%. Yeah, I would try to learn the fretboard. I've talked about that. Learning the fretboard for learning all the notes on the fretboard, particularly if you're an electric player and you're going to be playing leads and stuff like that and finding chords up and down the neck. If you're playing acoustic, I always say the number one thing you want to, if you're going to be an acoustic player. Now, if you have an acoustic just because it's your first guitar and you plan on playing all different styles and having electrics and playing solo on acoustic and things like that, then you should learn the fretboard. But if you just want to be an acoustic guitar player, I always suggest having lots of strumming groups, right hand patterns, imitate drummers and things like that, and that will make you much more listenable. People won't, if you're doing the same groove on every song and you're writing, every song will sound the same and boring. And if you're playing a live gig and you're doing a lot of cover songs and you play the same strumming groove on every, the same groove on every song, same thing. People can get really bored. They'll listen to you for one song and then they'll just be talking to their friends and that'll be the end of it. So, should we learn, CAGED and 3 notes per string? You could, I would start with the CAGED. The 3 notes per string are more for speed. I use the 3 notes per string thing more for when I'm kind of in a shredder zone. And then because of the consistency. Let's see. Where is the... Oh, here. So, like, for example, the Major Pentatonic built on the E form. You should learn those kind of things first, like the forms up the neck, and then the pentatonic scales that go with them, and maybe the diatonic scales. The three-pers is more of a speed thing, because the reason it's a little bit easier is because you consistently have the same number of notes per string, so your right hand can kind of predict more what it's gonna do, and it can just kind of dig in and go. Whereas if you're playing like staying in one position, I've got 2 notes, then 3 notes, 3, 3, 2, 2, and you can get it down really, really fast. But you almost have to practice it by yourself. Whereas if you're doing a three-per, and I'm not warmed up. then whatever pattern you work on for one threeper will transfer right hand wise to the other threepers. Yeah, I would just start with the shapes. I would just start memorizing this here. Let's see. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you got that. Then what you want to do is you want to try to start to see those shapes up and down the fretboard. Okay, and how they connect. This and you can go to the Discord, which the join link's right at the top there. I pinned it. These look complex, but they're the same thing, just moved in the 6 different keys: C, A, G, E, and D. So the C is kind of orangey, red, and then green or blue is C or A. Green is the G. E form is the the yellow shapes, and then the purple shapes are the D form. And so that's kind of a place to start. You can start. And what I would do is I wouldn't try to learn all of them at once. I would maybe make it a goal to just like, okay, in the key of C, let me try to find all the C shapes this week and have maybe a C progression and try to find them. Then add the pentatonic scales. And we did that as we started going through these. We started to add the pentatonic shapes. And then you can, it's only 2 more notes to add the diatonic. So once you have the major pentatonic down, like in the D, it's not too hard to add those other notes. So yeah, but to just sit down and learn them, it is hard. It's sit down and memorize them. It is hard. So what I would do is I would always try to create a song or something. Write a song. Write it. Take this shape, for example. This is the C shape. So we're doing C, and I moved it up to D. So we didn't have any open strings. That's why I moved it up. And write a song. The key, chords in the key of D would be like D, G, A, D. Then you do like a melody in D pentatonic, and you just D major pentatonic, and you get that down, and then you write a melody using. So here's what you're doing: you're creating a very, very, very specific exercise to work a weakness that you're trying to learn. You're trying to learn these shapes right here. 2, you're creating content. You're creating original music, which if you end up having, being able to work into a career of in the music field, having original content's huge when it comes to getting songs on TV shows and or writing with other people. And these may be little nursery rhymey type tunes at first, but eventually that's a muscle that you have to develop as well. You'll start writing more sophisticated melodies. You'll start adding scales and things like that. So I just feel like being a more creative, finding creative ways to learn scales rather than just rote memory. Some people are great at the rote memory. I had students that could show up the next week. They'd have all 5 shapes down in 1 week, and I'd have to hustle and give them something new to work on. Some students I had to work really hard to keep them giving them stuff that they didn't know because they would learn it in a week. Let's see. Oh, that's a bummer. So you had to become the real My Knees Hurt. Oh, great. DLG, that's awesome. Okay. Oh, did I miss somebody? Who was there? Oh, Jayla. Oh, you were asking how to memorize. Yeah. So it is a lot, but don't be discouraged. Just start chipping away at it. Yeah, exactly. Well, so I would start with the C caged shape here, and then the next one is A. Go in order. Spell out the word caged. There's the A shape that I used as C, but you could start learning them up and down the fretboard or whatever. So we've been talking about this for quite a bit. And the thing is, if you were a student of mine, I would probably be honest, if we were a private lesson, taking private lessons, you would probably get, shoot, where is it? This. You probably, you know, one of our first lessons, I'd probably have you with this, all of this in one lesson. Not this wouldn't be 5 different lessons. It might be. I might go 5 different pentatonic scales in 5 lessons. Depends on how quickly you're picking stuff up. But oh, TikTok. Bruce. I do have a TikTok. But yeah, I can only do 60 seconds on TikTok. That's almost impossible for me, isn't it? All right, I've got to get going because I've got a session that's at noon, and I want to make sure I've got everything ready for that, and I don't wear myself out because I don't know how long it's going to take. So I work for this guy, this composer every now and then, and usually requires a lot of energy. It's like I need it faster, faster, faster. So it can sometimes be a lot of work. Anyway, I will talk to you all later next Monday. Oh, thank you, Lena. God bless you. Next Monday, we're going to continue. We've got 2 more of these to do. And then, Jayla, let me ruminate more too about maybe how I can make it a little easier for people to memorize these. But again, sometimes you just have to plain old memorize stuff, you know, and I hate it because I'm really bad at memorizing things. But one of the best ways to memorize something is to create a song that I can use to learn something. And I will, yeah, I did, didn't I? I'm awful. Hey, Earl, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks again, Lena. That really helps. Every little bit helps. And, I will probably drop that Apex video on Thursday or Friday, and I may promote it among some of the Apex fan pages on some of the YouTube and things like that, because that video could potentially get a lot of views. I don't know, and it could also lead to some work for some different game composers. So I've definitely, the composer I work for Apex has recommended me to a lot of people. So anyway, I will talk to you all later. God bless you. Here's the button to end the stream, and I got to hit it to end the stream. So goodbye.